If I ask my students if they wanted to take a quiz, they would usually groan. But if I tell them we're playing a game on WayGround, they get excited immediately. And that's really what led me to use this platform in my classroom. Hey, I'm Jennifer, and for my technology project, I used WayGround. That is the old version of quizzes in my third and fourth grade classroom over the past few weeks, about 6 to 7 weeks. So when I first started using it back in October, the kids were honestly really excited right away. So this was a trial version I used. I started before we implemented it into our school. They loved that it felt more like a game instead of a regular test or a worksheet. Just putting in the code and seeing their names pop up on the screen got them excited. But at the same time, the first couple of times using it, it was definitely a learning process. I had to stop and model everything, like how to log in, how to go to the next question, how to actually submit answers. Some students were just clicking quickly without reading really what it said, and a few students did it really easy without a problem. So about 2 or 3 times using it, it got a lot smoother. They started to figure it out, and by a few weeks in, most of them could log in and complete everything on their own, independently. One thing I noticed over time was how their behavior started to change. At the beginning of the lesson, they were really focused on the game part, like trying to get on the leaderboard or finish quickly. But after we used it more consistently, they started slowing down and paying more attention to getting the answers correct instead of just being fast. I also noticed that students become more confident. They weren't as nervous about getting things wrong because they knew they were getting immediate feedback. A lot of them actually liked seeing what they missed and trying it again. Some even asked if they could redo activities to improve their scores, which doesn't usually happen with regular assignments, as we know. The data from WayGround was probably the most helpful part of me as a teacher. For example, when I used it for a third grade letter writing lesson, almost all my students scored really high. Most of them got 100%. That showed me pretty quickly that they understood the skill and I could move on. But then I started using it for more challenging skills like point of view, summarizing, first-hand versus second-hand accounts, and the results looked really different. Some students did really well, but others struggled a lot more. There were even a few questions where very few students got the answers correct. And in one case, there was a question where no one got one right. So that really stood out to me because it showed me immediately that there was a gap in understanding. Because I could see that right away, I didn't have to wait until later to fix it. So the next day, I was able to go back and reteach the concept immediately and use different examples to help them understand it better. I also created additional practice activities so they could try again and improve. And another thing I noticed was that in some lessons, like summarizing, students struggled with identifying the most important details. So the data showed that clearly because some questions had only about 50% accuracy. So again, I was able to pause and go back and spend more time on that skill instead of just moving forward. Overall, I think that what's made WayGround really effective is it wasn't just something fun to use. It actually helped guide me as a teacher. I could see patterns in what students were missing and adjust my lessons based on their needs and their understanding. As for engagement, it definitely made a difference. Students were more involved, more willing to participate, and more motivated to do well. It took something that can sometimes feel stressful, like assessments, and made it feel more interactive and low pressure for them. So overall, I would say that WayGround was really successful in my classroom. Our school adopted it in January. It's helped increase engagement, not just in my class, but in overall our school. It's gave immediate feedback on student learning. It's helped teachers to progress their lessons or go back and reteach versus having that gap in between to where you're grading papers and seeing how many students got this one right, how many students got that one right. So it's immediate feedback. It allowed me to make changes to my instruction right when students needed it, which is a big help and time saver. It's something I definitely plan to keep using, and I've been using it now continually. Moving forward, it's really helped both me and my students, and we have enjoyed it. And as our year comes to a close, I will continue to use it and start back up next year. I hope you enjoyed this.